All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll see if the VCU Rams can continue to stay on this streak. They've won 7 straight and 15 of the last 17 games. Good to have you with us here tonight from the Robins Center in Richmond, Virginia. Again, first place on the line for the Rams with a win. And for the Spiders, they need to stay in this upper echelon of the Atlantic 10. The top 4 seeds in the A-10 out of 14 teams get a double bye in the A-10 tournament, which will be played this year in Pittsburgh. Both teams jacked up here tonight, Kyle. This place is electric. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere. It gives you that tournament feel, you know, winding down the regular season. So a great prep for both these teams.
Rams in the black, controlling first as Brooks works his way in. Mo Alley Cox not there on the first offering to get things started tonight.
Coach Wade talked about pounding the ball down inside. We saw that very first possession. Both teams like to play some man-to-man, or both will play some zone defense as well.
Carrying violation on DeMonte Buckingham and a turnover for Richmond.
And one thing you'll see sometimes in big rivalry games, some early turnovers, just the jitters, the nerves taking over.
Coach Chris Mooney in his 12th season for the Richmond Spiders. And we saw both shoot-arounds today. A little bit different from what we saw from each team, wasn't it?
A lot of noise in both shoot-arounds. VCU more vocal themselves, screaming, talking to each other, whereas Richmond, they bring out the music to get the atmosphere and the noise factor.
Brooks again on a drive to the rack, too strong. Out of bounds, staying with the Rams. And Coach Mooney and the job that he's done, and he has to do it with a limited bench. They don't have quite the same horses as maybe the other teams in the league, and he knows that. His starting 5 is one of the best. You can put him up against anybody. They just don't have the substitutions really.
He's always searching for that third player to come in and give that extra boost. They know they've got 2 solid players as JeQuan Lewis knocks down the 3 to start the contest for VCU in scoring. But he's always searching for that third factor. Who can contribute? Sometimes it's one player, the next game it's another. So he's always trying to look for that third outlet.
How about the week that JeQuan Lewis has had? 27 points as Buckingham gets free for the dunk. 27 points 2 games ago for Lewis, 34 in the last game.
Yeah, setting new career highs back-to-back. Coming off that week where he made those clutch free throws down the stretch in those crazy ending games that they've won both of.
Samir Dowdy was fouled as Will Wade is in just his 2nd season. 46 and 16 for VCU. The job that he's done, this program just continues to bring in the quality coaches. Former assistant coach at VCU knows the program so well. Is part of that staff with Shaka Smart and the Final Four run. Outstanding job that he's done with this team.
Yeah, a very easy transition, having been a former assistant, then getting that head coaching experience away and being able to come back, and just the team never really missed a stride.
Ball knocked away by Brooks.
I think they said that VCU deflected that ball.
Yep.
I think it went off Jones's hand.
It did, would have been a backcourt, but now instead we've got a foul. Well, let's get your keys here as we're 2 minutes in, Kyle. What do you have here tonight?
Well, I think it's real important for VCU. They've got to bring that defensive intensity. Coach Wade very upset after the last game. Didn't feel like they brought that. They've got to guard out the three-point line, and then they've got to make some outside shots which will open up that inside. And then for Richmond, they've got to get the ball to TJ Klein first off. He does everything. I mean, you saw that first pass when they scored their first basket, and he'll play inside, he'll play outside, and just a great player, kind of a point center, if you will.
Yes. We'll have a lot more on TJ Klein as this game moves along and see some of the great passes that he's made this season. Buckingham for 3, not there. And rebound to Lewis.
And the other factor is the rebounding. VCU has a +5 margin. Their opponents, Richmond, a -5. So they've got to keep that number pretty close.
I agree with you on that. Richmond was out-rebounded in the last game versus George Mason, 42-21. Brooks, and this time converts, 6-2 Rams.
With VCU, they're going to tell you what they're going to do, and they're just going to execute so well. I mean, they don't change a lot of things from game to game. They don't adjust their game plan from one team to the next. So defensively, you've got to lock down and know what's coming, but stay solid. And just VCU plays with such confidence.
Tillman hauls down a rebound. He's been a rebounding machine for this VCU group as of late. Looking for his 5th straight double-double here tonight. And it's off his hands, out of bounds.
Yeah, that pass intended actually for Brooks, but Tillman thought it was for him. You see a little 1-2-2, full court pressure. Now they're back into a zone defense, and you'll see they may switch out of it. This time they stayed into it.
Jones, nice up fake, and is able to finish for 2.
Yeah, good up and under. Got Ollie Cox up in the air and then stepped through for the easy bank shot.
Here's Tillman now on his way in. That's an offensive foul. And Nick Sherrod took the charge for the Spiders. Jordan Burgess now checks in for Justin Tillman, so to the bench early, doesn't want to get a quick number 2 on it.
Yeah, and the Rams will play a lot of players. They're pretty deep on the bench, so they like to bring players in, keep them out, keep them fresh, and make those substitutions.
They can go 11 deep if they have to. They've shown that this season. Here's Klein for 3, not there. And tipped it to the hands of Lewis. Doesn't have the numbers, though, but takes it in anyway. For 3, and it's off the back iron. Klein, his pass is deflected. Buckingham for Jones. Klein on the cut.
Richmond, a very good passing team. That time Jones off the dribble sees his teammate cutting down the lane.
Lewis pulls up and hits.
There you see that senior, just the calmness that he brings to his team, comes off that pick, easily pulls up.
I would say good way to quiet the crowd, but that's not really the case here tonight because VCU's got half the building with their fans in the house. Well, I wouldn't say half. You could see the gold and black spread out through the crowd here tonight at the Robins Center, but what an electric atmosphere here this evening, to say the least.
You know, one thing that VCU has done better since they started playing better the second half of the season, they've limited their turnovers.
Yep.
They're very patient offensively. If they can take care of the basketball, they're going to get a good shot.
2-point lead early. Klein to Sherrod for 3. Oh, Buckingham, look out.
Hello.
This feels like a championship game here tonight. There's a foul on VCU on Mo Alley Cox on the clear out, and we've got our first timeout tonight.
DeMonte Buckingham going straight down the lane, fouling that offensive shot. The place is jumping.
DeMonte Buckingham for the Richmond Spiders helping to get this place jumping here tonight. Already has a couple of dunks in this one. And what an atmosphere here at the Robins Center tonight. Happy to have you with us, everyone, for our Friday night showcase on ESPN. Mike Corey and 3-time All-American and national champion Kyle Macy, good to be working with you here tonight. And how fun is this rivalry and this atmosphere here?
Oh, you love it. I mean, these schools go back and forth every year. Seems like they're always a close game, and just to get the crowd so involved, it's great college basketball.
We're watching a potential Player of the Year candidate here in the Atlantic 10 in TJ Klein tonight for the Richmond Spiders. What do you like about his game?
Everything. I mean, he does so many different things. You'll see he can get the ball down the low post, kind of directs traffic like a point guard and sees the entire floor. So if you're a teammate and your man leaves you, cut to the basket, you're going to get it for a wide open layup. You got to love playing with TJ. Now we see him step out a little further on the court and showing some of his other skills. And the key to this Princeton offense that they run, when he dribbles at the defender, he waits till that defensive player turns his head just a split second, and that backdoor cut opens up every time, whether it's out on the wing or on the baseline.
Already 2 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists for TJ Klein in this game so far here tonight. Richmond possession out of the timeout, tied at 8, and here's Klein.
The VCU came out in the 2-3, but when Klein comes out top, they switch to a man-to-man.
Sherrod, tough runner, rebound Hamdi for VCU. It's Ahmed Hamdi. Jonathan Williams in the crossover. Look out, what a play.
Williams, a little spark in off the bench normally for VCU. Good under control play that time, going right to the middle of the lane and pull up.
There's Klein again, looking down low for 4. Pass a little bit high. And 4 is going to throw it away. It's JeQuan 4, who's just been so big for this Richmond team. Number 2 in white, explosive, athletic. We saw some great plays by Buckingham early, but it's only a matter of time before 4 gets involved.
Yeah, he's their best defender, on-the-ball defender. He has a 45-inch vertical jump. Can you imagine jumping 45?
Just a little bit more than us. I know, it's crazy. He's 6 foot. Runner here by Williams, not there, but it gets tipped out to Lewis. And now it's a 3 by Crowfield, and that's what they expect from him, Malik Crowfield, the true freshman.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, VCU, very patient offensively. Lewis had the 3 he could have taken, but instead gets the shot fake, drives the defender, drives the middle, gets his teammate a wide open look.
Well, Will Wade told us that in shoot-around today about Crowfield. That's what they like, that's what they expect from him, putting up those outside shots and learning the game as the freshman. Fight for this one. VCU thought they got a timeout call. Let's see if they do have that. I don't know if anybody else really was tying up the ball for Richmond. They're going to call it a jump, though.
A good hustle by both teams. There you see Lewis with a head fake and then drives, pulls the defense, and then they just can't recover quick enough to guard that outside shot. The number JeQuan Lewis has been putting up here down the stretch really has kind of gathered the attention of the pro scouts.
Crowfield is a guy of the future, though, for VCU, too. If you want to think about what this team could be like for years to come, they're going to lose Lewis, Brooks, Mo Alley-Cox, along with Jordan Burgess. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are going to be gone after this year for VCU. Offensive board, Buckingham, rejected by Hamdi. And there is a foul.
I think they got Lewis underneath the basket. If you're inside that arc, you need to jump straight up in the air. Otherwise, you stand there and try to take a charge. You're going to get the foul every time. I think that's what happened.
So JeQuan Lewis picks up his first.
Let's take a look there. You can see he's still inside that arc, that right foot. It's a nice block by Hamdi.
It's tough to tell. I mean, it looked like his right foot just started to step out. Yeah, Doug Sermons, our official, one of them going over there to talk to Lewis about that. But I think you're right on it there, Kyle, about the restricted area.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you're in that arc, you can go ahead and jump vertically, and you're entitled to that position. But if you stay on the ground, it's an automatic foul.
13-8. VCU by 5 early. Jones for 3. And a foul on this rebound, and this is going to go against VCU as well. And a clear out there by Hamdi. He picks up his first.
Richmond going to the offensive boards, put a little bit of pressure there on the Rams. We've seen Richmond miss some of these open shots they feel like they need to make. They had those opportunities in the first outing between these two teams and didn't get them to go. Got to start knocking down some of those three-pointers.
Here's a 3, and that one's good, and it's Julius Johnson that drains it.
Just like that.
Right on cue, right, Coach? Well, Johnson is a guy they need, and he's off the bench to really step up and do things like that. Williams. And another foul on VCU going after the rebound.
Well, now, as a player for the VCU team, you've got to get that in your mind. They're calling it pretty close. They understand it's a big rivalry game. The officials are aware of that as well. So maybe back off a little bit here, at least the first 10 minutes of the game, and then kind of work your way into the physical play, because right now they're really trying to keep things under control.
And that's a good point. It's already 6 fouls on VCU early, just 8 minutes in. That one was on Jordan Burgess, his first.
You see the Rams start out in a 1-3-1 set and slide to a 2-3.
How about Jones scooting inside of the lane area, getting the feeds from Klein. Now he goes down, no call. Williams feeds a cutting Burgess.
A good interior passing from Williams that time. Both these teams, just excellent passing teams.
Not the same VCU, 94 feet from the basket, pressing all day, all night, but they still have it, obviously, and they're able to cause some teams some fits, at least bringing the ball up the court.
It's still pressure. It's just kind of a different type of pressure. Showing you different looks, always keeping those guards guessing on what defense they're in.
5 on the shot clock. Chandre Jones gets bumped and hits the basket.
Well, Jones had 30 the first time these two teams met. Expecting big things out of him again tonight.
He's certainly one for the big moments, and this is a big one here tonight. Second meeting between these two teams. VCU won the first by 7 at home. Hamdi takes it in after the feed from Brooks.
Yeah, real good look from Brooks. Kind of split the defense there on the pick and roll.
Joe Kirby, who's seen some extra time this season with the injury to Grant Golden, one of their talented big men, freshman who's going to be out for the season. Here's Klein, works his way in, not there. Rebound Hamdi. No whistle this time.
Yeah, and that's what Hamdi can bring to this VCU team, his physical play. And then he runs the floor so well, as you see right there on the run out. But he's physical enough down low with Klein that Klein can't just back him down like he can some of the other big men for VCU.
Well, VCU and their fans behind their bench loving what they've seen so far here in the early going. Hamdi getting involved halfway through the first half. Another three from Johnson. He does it again.
Defense a little slow in recovering after the shooter. Good recognition by Johnson.
And that's 2 for 2 for Julius Johnson from three-point range. And a foul on Hamdi inside for VCU. Takes us to another timeout. 3-point game here in the early going.
Now VCU, good interior passing. Burgess gets the two-handed slam, and on the other end, the transition. Hamdi for 2.
You and I were talking about this, Kyle, that we could do a 10K, here running from Richmond's campus to VCU's campus, 6.1 miles away. And then we thought, hey, why don't we start in the middle, and each school could have people run to their campus, whoever gets there first.
Or we could do a mini marathon. That way you're back where you started from. So.
A lot of ties here for both schools. Nick Sherrod for Richmond, and his grandfather, Edmund Sherrod, played at VCU across town back in the day.
And there you see him tonight's game. I believe I played a year against him when he was with the Knicks, like early 80s, wow. 82, 83. I was in Phoenix, so we only came east one time, the way the schedule was set up, but I'm pretty sure I played against him.
Nick has a little ways to go to get the hair up to the level that it was of his grandfather.
Yeah, let's not talk about hair.
No,
okay.
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, a little bit different now. What a game here tonight. Richmond and VCU, second meeting between these two teams. And Richmond was close in the first one, and not many people are able to win at the Siegel Center across town. That's a tough place to play for sure. They felt like they had an opportunity to pull it out. What do you think here tonight? They're only down by 3.
Well, obviously it helps playing on your home court. You feel a little bit more comfortable. You know your routine when you're playing a home game. But anytime you play a rivalry game, you kind of throw all that stuff out. It just kind of takes care of itself. So from a player standpoint, you just stay focused that much more on each play, one at a time.
And how about when we talk to the players and the coaches here before this one tonight? Of course, they know it's a huge rivalry and they're really up for it, but it's almost like sometimes I think the fans make a little bit more about this game than the players, because they just know how important it is to win this game and how big it is for the standings as much
it seems
bragging
like,
rights.
Yeah, it seems like it's probably more important to the alumni base than it is the players, because the players are also concerned about those conference standings and not so much just saying they have bragging rights for the year.
Correct. That's how big this one is here tonight. If VCU wins, they'll be in sole possession of first in the A-10. VCU, they've won 4 in a row versus Richmond. The Spiders want to be in one of those top 4 spots to earn a double bye come conference tournament time.
Well, that's a big plus if you can get that double bye. Let those other teams just kind of beat up on each other until they get to you, and then you're fresh.
Hamdi works against Klein, too strong. Buckingham, and a foul on Dowdy for VCU. Is that like the 5th foul that we've seen tonight for VCU going after rebounds in the offensive defensive end?
But again, because they have such good depth, it's not that big of a factor yet. Now, later on, it may become more of a factor, but right now, I don't think Will Wade's too concerned about that. Whereas if it was going the other way with Richmond getting a lot of fouls, we talked about their lack of depth.
Well, Spiders are in the bonus here. And Buckingham, 72% free throw shooter at the line.
Rebounding all even. Actually, now Richmond's up 1. We talked about how important that was a factor of this game. So Richmond and the Spiders doing a very good job crashing both ends on the glass.
Lewis all the way to the corner to Dowdy, and Crowfield another 3. That one way off.
Crowfield kind of interesting. He actually started the first game of his career at VCU, which is unusual for a freshman to come right in and start. But Coach Wade has a lot of confidence in him.
Steal here by Lewis. It'll put up the 3. And Crowfield tipped it to JeQuan 4. 4 gets it back.
The old give and go. Pass, cut to the basket, you might get it back.
Gets the Spider fans jumping even more. Lewis for Burgess. As we're tied at 19, back to Lewis. Crowfield again. Got that one.
Great ball movement that time. The patience of VCU, turning down good shots to get a great shot.
I asked Will Wade about that and this program when they have games that don't go their way. Sometimes it gets away from them. And I said, well, how is that possible? He says, well, when we take those first shots, those open looks, sometimes fool's gold right there. They made the extra pass that time.
Yeah, players sometimes don't understand just because you're open doesn't mean that's the best shot you can get. You know, you may be able to get that shot later in the shot clock, so why not work to try to get a better shot?
Timeout here on the court. JeQuan 4 gets into the act for the Spiders. We've got a good one here tonight. 3-point game in Richmond, Virginia. Tomorrow on ESPN, the SEC and the ACC will cap off a full day of college hoops. Starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. Number 13, Kentucky and Georgia. We're in Athens for that one. Then at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, we'll take you to the Dean Smith Center, Chapel Hill, the site of this week's college game day. Virginia and North Carolina in a battle there. Both games on ESPN. Streaming live at the ESPN app and watchespn.com. Richmond with the rebounding advantage, which you don't see too often early on here, 11-9. And VCU's getting some points off the Richmond turnovers here to start.
The real difference so far is just that the VCU has shot the 3 ball a little bit better, 3 of 7 from the field. Richmond only 2 of 8.
Richmond with 6 assists on their 8 made baskets. That's a staple of this team, and they're at the free throw line once again because they're in the bonus, and they've been there for at least the last 4 minutes, the way that VCU has fouled so far in this first half. JeQuan 4 has a chance to cut it down to 1, and he does. TJ Klein's going to take a seat, and Kwesi Ibaka, the graduate student transferred of Northeastern, in for the Spiders.
He's a good-looking athlete down the low post. Shot a little bit funny if he gets fouled, but
I know you're waiting for that. Can't wait to see that. We'll see if he does get to the line. Brooks sees kind of parted there, but he's going to be called for travel.
And right now the problem VCU is having is players just breaking down, trying to do too much on their own. You've got to trust your teammates. If it's not there, don't force the issue. Pass it, move, and get a better look.
Doug Brooks is out. Jonathan Williams is back in. How about no points so far from Mo Alley Cox and Justin Tillman? 2 of the top players for VCU, number 12 and number 4, respectively.
Yeah, they came out a little bit early, so they haven't played a lot of minutes, but, VCU's relied a lot on that outside shot. Give the Spiders some credit, though, for packing it down low, making VCU take some outside jumpers.
Chandre Jones. Oh, what a tough runner. He hits it.
That's a really tough shot to be able to drive that hard and stop with a fadeaway.
And right back the other way is Williams, and he'll head to the free throw line.
It's a nice take by Williams as well. The crossover dribble and that hang time that draws the foul.
Kwesi Ibaka with a foul, just his first, third team foul, first half.
But Jones has that great ability just to control the upper half of his body when he's floating away and the follow through going right to the rim.
How about Jonathan Williams? You and I noticed this earlier when he was warming up on that tattoo on his left leg, right there on the calf area. It says, "There's no elevator to success.
You gotta take the stairs."
There you go. I love it. Very true. Back to a 1-point lead for VCU. Klein is back in. That's usually the case. The rare rest for him, because he's the one that kind of facilitates the offense. Buckingham.
And Richmond really backing up when they take that offensive look. Not many offensive boards. You got to give an effort going to the glass.
Williams. Yeah, that's the thing, though. That's not really Richmond's game, though. And you're absolutely right. The minute that shot goes up, you kind of see all those white jerseys retreat. They don't want to give up any easy ones the other way.
That's their concern. They don't want to give up those transition baskets because VCU runs so well.
Jones wants Klein to come up to the high post, and he fades out to the corner. Buckingham feeds Klein for three, and we're tied.
The problem that Klein presents to the defenders, though, most big men don't want to come out on the floor that far, so he can step out there, as you just showed, knocking the three down. If you do come out and pressure him, you can put it on the ground, or he's going to pass to a teammate for a layup.
Tillman misfires. Klein wants the break.
Oh, yeah, by the way, he runs really well.
Showing you all aspects of his game. TJ Klein, one of the best in this conference. One of the best big men you're going to witness in the country. Offensive foul, Tillman. That's his second.
TJ Klein started out the season a little slow, had kind of a wrist injury, but has picked it up here lately. Got a shooting percentage behind the three-point line up over 32%. But his versatility, can run, can shoot, can pass.
Is one of the best and most versatile big men in the nation. Over 19 points a game, over 8 rebounds, and over 5 assists. There's no other player with those numbers at minimum in every category like that.
He just has a great feel for the game. I mean, he sees the floor so well. He knows what every other player in his team is doing. And like I said, if you're open, he'll get you the ball.
Makes the extra pass to Sherrod, who hits a three. It's an 8-0 run by the Spiders to take a 5-point lead. Lewis for Mo Alley Cox, and that will count in the foul. And one goes VCU's way this time as Mo Alley Cox has a chance for a three-point play.
And again, VCU just doing what they do. They run that pick and roll on the side, bring the player out of the corner. That time Lewis, a nice little dish pass between the defenders. And Mo Alley Cox with the body control, able to absorb the contact and finish.
Excellent call by the officials. Nick Sherrod got in there a little bit late. He tried to take the charge, but he wasn't set.
Do you want to step in front of Mo Alley Cox?
I was going to say, you know that, football obviously is, I'm sure a few teams will be looking at him as well.
Yeah, he's been contacted by some NFL teams, yep.
6'7", 250, out of Alexandria, Virginia. Already has his degree in criminal justice. Got that a year and a half ago. He's now pursuing his master's. Two-point game. One thing about VCU is they've always been able to seem like they can weather runs and storms. This season they're always in the ballgame, no matter what. They don't get rattled too often. Oh, nice job by Ford to follow his own shot. That time he went for the offensive board.
Yeah, and good things happen when you give that effort. You may not get it every time, but you have to give that effort to get the first offensive board.
Line squares up.
To your point, though, about VCU able to weather some storms, I think a lot of that has to do because normally they're a really solid defensive team.
Blocking foul on Ahmed Hamdi. His first, and we'll step aside again. Under 4 to go in the first half. Spiders by a deuce. All right, Chris, look forward to hearing from you and Andy coming up at the half as we have a 2-point game here tonight in our Friday night showcase in the Atlantic 10. Mike Corey alongside 3-time All-American and national champion Kyle Macy here from the Robbins Center. 31-29 Spiders. What have you seen so far in this first half?
Well, I really like the intensity of both these teams. I mean, they're playing up to the motion of the game, I guess, because it is such a big rival game. Sometimes, you come out a little flat, you get too jacked up. But they've met that challenge and both playing very hard.
TJ Klein worked real hard this offseason with his mother, Nancy Lieberman, the all-time greats, the Hall of Famer, and really worked on his game and got in really good shape. Well-rounded.
Super nice kid to talk to.
Absolutely.
Shoot around, just like we've known him for years.
And there's his father. That's Tim Klein. Played for the Washington Generals back in the day. We had a nice conversation with him this afternoon as well. Comes from Dallas up here, watching his son here tonight. And seeing a good performance so far as Ford takes it in. Not there. Buckingham, yes.
That's just good team hustle. You got to assume your teammate's going to miss that layup, so run the floor. Spiders did. They got the follow.
Largest lead of this first half for Richmond as Lewis misses. Rebound Ibaka. Each team is led by as many as 6 tonight.
Now, see, that wasn't a very good shot for Richmond. They kind of had a momentum, and there's really no passes made. Just comes right down in a pull-up jumper. Make that defense play. Swing the ball side to side.
Curlfield takes a seat for the VCU Rams. Williams with Lewis, Brooks, Mo Ali Cox, and Samir Dowdy, the 5 in the court for VCU right now. Brooks, good up fake, and gets the 2.
And the crowd wanted to walk. Showed that ball in the shot fake, got the defender up.
Ford and Brooks, and Ford gets the step. And it's going to be a foul. It's going to go against Richmond. It's on Ibaka.
Pounding the ball down low, but again, when you show that ball to the defender, a lot of times they'll leave their feet and it opens up that shot.
And Ibaka just jumping right over his head that time.
The bad defenders watch the ball and they watch your eyes, so when you make a shot fake, you got to really raise that ball, look at the rim.
Mo Ali Cox, who's in the post, and get it to the top, reverse the ball, so he gets better position and is being fouled, and that's why he couldn't quite get it. That's the 3rd foul on Ibaka for Richmond. That kind of puts a hurt in their plans of giving Klein a little bit of a break. He's got to come back in. UConn and Temple on the way in Philadelphia. Sunday on ESPN and the American Athletic Conference, 4 o'clock Eastern. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Dowdy, and turns it over.
Another empty set for VCU. Dowdy trying to do too much. Pass, help a teammate get open.
7 turnovers. He's part of the future of VCU as well. Redshirt freshman out of Philadelphia. Averaging close to 10 points a ball game has been a real key factor for them this year. Mo Ali Cox on the steal, but then he lost it. Klein says, gun that into me there.
Yeah, he didn't want that soft lob pass, did he? Because it's hard to hold Ali Cox off. He's so strong.
Yeah, that's one thing you got to keep an eye on tonight, too, with all the contact and the energy, with both teams. They're going to call those, fouls. You got to use your body. You got to have good control. And is this going to be on 4 or Mo Alley Cox?
I think it was on 4 going over the back.
Yep, it is. JeQuan Lewis' first personal foul for Richmond. The crowd just recognizes that.
VCU does a real good job of all 5 players reacting to the ball. When it's a drive like that last time to the basket, everybody slides to a new position, which is a good defensive team. They'll do that.
Fans not thrilled with the call, but it's going to result in a 1-and-1 here for Doug Brooks. And no harm really done that time. Still a 4-point lead.
Brooks, one of the better free throw shooters, shooting a little over 70%.
Just under 2 minutes to play in the first half in this crosstown rivalry tonight between Richmond and VCU. Chandre Jones for Klein for 3. Johnson offensive rebound.
Got to reset the shot clock and never hit the rim.
They'll head over and get that squared away. It did reset, but should not have, because you're right, did not hit the rim.
So going to go down to about 15 maybe. Or 6.
Oh, yeah, a little less.
A little difference, 15 and 6.
Oh, here's a good look at it.
It hit net, but it didn't hit rim.
Right. So 6 seconds on the shot clock is what they reset it to. 1:42 game clock. Buckingham. He needs something in a hurry. 4, tries to draw contact. And Williams goes coast to coast for the basket and the foul.
Johnny Williams has really turned it up in his last 5 games. He's been in double figures the last 5, really much more productive down the stretch.
Now, Coach, what do you do now if you're Chris Mooney in Richmond? TJ Klein just picks up his 2nd personal foul. Remember, his substitute there, really, Kwesi Ibaka, and he has 3 fouls. I mean, do you risk Klein picking up a 3rd with 1:31 to go in this first half?
I think you take that chance because he's an intelligent player, so he'll know to back off and not pick up that 3rd. They're going to get the offensive possession here with only 1:31. It's not like there's still 5 or 6 minutes. So you're going to have at least 2 offensive possessions, depending how fast VCU goes, maybe 3. So I think you want him on the floor.
TJ Klein with 9 points so far tonight. Officials have to head over to the scorers table once again. The teams head to the benches with 1:31 left. Will Wade and his VCU Rams right now at 21-5, 11-2 in the Atlantic 10. Richmond 15-10, 9-4 in conference play. The talk right now out there with our bracketologist Joe Lenardi is that he's got VCU in the NCAA tournament along with Dayton, who are the top 2 teams in the conference right now. A Richmond who's right there knocking on the door. A very solid team. Has all of a legitimate chance to win the Atlantic 10 tournament, but they're going to have to if they want to have a chance for the tournament, correct?
Yes, I think so. I mean, if they win tonight, that would give them another top 50 victory. But, that's really the only chance they're going to have to strengthen their resume going into the postseason play. So the good thing having those post-conference tournaments, get hot, you make a run, and you get an automatic bid.
Top 4 teams get a bye double bye in the Atlantic 10 tournament in Pittsburgh. And Richmond is one of those top 4 right now. Shot clock again. Chandre Jones, that's a push-off. Yeah. You saw it right there, the right hand.
And it wasn't so much that there was that much contact, just the extension of that arm right there in front of the official.
All of a sudden, the fouls are starting to even out now as Richmond's picked up their 9th team foul. There it is.
Excellent defensive position by VCU.
And that's 2 fouls on Chandre Jones.
And they did take Klein out. They one possession, they take him out.
Julius Johnson just ripped it away that time from VCU's Hamdi. Buckingham, did he step out of bounds? Yes, he did.
Excellent defense by Hamdi, being able to move his feet and stay with the smaller player. Wade's going to take a 30-second timeout here to talk about this last possession.
Yeah, that's the use it or lose it timeout. Can only carry over 3 to the second half, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. Stay tuned. JeQuan and the Richmond Spiders lead it by 1 still, and he's shown every aspect of his game once again here tonight.
Just the versatility makes him so valuable to the team. And if you run that Princeton offense like they do, you have to have a big man that can do different things. They've got to be able to run the floor. They've got to be able to pass. They've got to be able to knock down outside shots as well as post up inside.
He's on the bench, though, with 2 personal fouls. Final 35 seconds of this first half. Hamdi, wild play inside. Got it to go. The feed from Crowfield.
That's pretty good body control for the big man. Kind of got stuck underneath the basket. Still managed to get it up there.
Richmond's now going to call a timeout. They can virtually hold here for the final shot of this first half. And this is what we expected, wasn't it? A 1-point game here between these two. No team has led by more than 6 so far in this first half.
Wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, wouldn't have it any other way. It's a game of runs, and both teams during the course of this first half have made their little run to take the lead, then fallen back and come back. So I expect it the same way this second half.
VCU's had some incredible victories this season where they've really pulled some out of the late stages of the game, haven't they? I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit, but they've had 2 wins this year with 0.4 seconds on the clock, some wild finishes. So when you look at the standings and you think about it, okay, they're tied for first right now. They realistically perhaps could be 9-4, and Richmond, with a win tonight could, overtake them if that was the case, but they pulled some out.
You may win one of those games every 5 years, but to win 2 back-to-back with 0.4 on the clock and both of those and you're behind, it's a miracle, really.
We'll show those to you a little bit later on in the broadcast. VCU 23 bench points to the 6 for Richmond, 15 seconds. Jones, 5 to go. Chandre Jones leads in. Hamdi with the clear-out rebound to end this first half.
VCU, good solid stop that time. Hamdi crashing the boards. I thought he gave some good minutes coming in off the bench.
VCU 36, Richmond 35. Now let's go to the studio. Chris Hassel and Andy Katz. It's all you guys.
All right, Mike. Nice pass. Thank you very much. Land Rover halftime report. Andy Katz, Chris Hassel. And let's talk about the Atlantic 10. Sometimes this conference gets 3, 4, 5 teams into the tournament. Not this year, Andy. What's going on?
Well, Joel Lenardi loves the A-10, not just because he works at St. Joe's, but
right.
They play the numbers really well, and they have consistently. So what they've done is they've been able to sort of play the right teams, win enough games, and get in. That's not happening this season. Some of their best teams have not performed as well in the non-conference. Dayton had injuries it had to deal with early in the season. They lost at home to St. Mary's as an example. Right now, VCU and Dayton, I agree with this. They would be the 2 teams into the field. Remember, coaching change at George Washington. St. Joseph's had 4 major injuries. St. Bonaventure blew a huge game at home to this VCU team. So there's been some sort of hard luck from the A-10 teams. At this juncture, a 3rd team like a Rhode Island, which was preseason top 25, bad loss at home to Fordham, they'd have to win the A-10 tournament to get in.
And sorry, Richmond, already 10 losses this season. They likely have to win the tournament to get in, no question.
Take away the likely.
They do have to win the tournament. No question about it.
DeMonte Buckingham with 2 of his 7 first-half points with authority for the Richmond Spiders here tonight as they trail by 136-35 here at the Robins Center at home. Hi again, everyone. Mike Corey, Kyle Macy. Good to have you with us here tonight for our Friday night showcase in the Atlantic 10. What stood out to you in the first half so far?
I think for VCU, probably a negative in fact. I thought they kind of forced the issue too much and had a little higher number of turnovers than they've been playing to. For Richmond, I thought it was just the way they kept aggressively playing. Even though they got behind early, they just kept battling. And we know what JeQuan can do, all his things. He had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, showing he can run the floor and do all kinds of things. But VCU, they're just a little bit impatient. But when they did take their time, they got some real good looks.
23-6 in terms of the bench points for VCU. They got it done with a host of different players out there. Crowfield and hit a couple of threes in that first half. It's good to see for them. Each team, the largest lead they've had was 6. We've had 5 times tied and 4 lead changes so far here tonight.
The other positive, I thought Richmond did a real good job of rebounding. They actually have a 2 rebound advantage, which their normal margin is -5 in games up at this point.
That's a big point right there. You're right. 17-15 in terms of the rebounding edge. VCU shot 56% in the first half. Richmond 42%.
But you would think if you shoot that well that you'd have a little bit bigger lead than 1 point.
Correct. Not the case here in this rivalry matchup tonight. Crosstown rivalry, second meeting between the two teams. VCU won the first by 7 a couple weeks ago. Now trying to sweep the season series. Would be their 5th in a row for the Spiders. Mo Alley Cox. Welcome to the second half.
And I'm sure that's one thing Will Wade talked to his team about. We got to get that ball inside. They really didn't pound it as much as you'd like that first half.
Buckingham for the tie. Rebound Tillman. You're absolutely right, Kyle. I agree with you because Mo Alley Cox and Justin Tillman really on the offensive end kind of non-existent.
Yeah, we haven't called their name much at all tonight. Now, they did get some fouls early, so they did sit some.
And there's the combo. Makes us look real good, right? Tillman on his first basket tonight. Klein tried to fight in the cunning Chandre Jones, and it's out of bounds to VCU. Good start of the second half for the Rams.
Yeah, very focused to start the second half. You see Mo Alley Cox going strong with a 2-handed slam, but then also showing some versatility. Hey, I'm not a bad passer myself, TJ Klein.
Excellent job to recognize that double team from Klein and Sherrod, who came right over and found a wide open Tillman. Richmond fans behind this basket. A little restless here as Dowdy hits the 2, and now all of a sudden it's the largest lead of the night for VCU at 7.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised that Coach Mooney hadn't really called a timeout. That's 3 straight baskets. It's a game of runs. You don't want to let it get out of hand quickly.
So early in the second half, though, TJ Klein battles with Cox. Not there. Rebound Tillman. Look out, JeQuan Lewis. Oh, Mo Alley Cox finishes. Here's your timeout.
Yeah, maybe 1 possession a little late, but that's the thing about the game. I mean, 3 possessions. If you get scored on 3 straight times, it's a game. And VCU really came out on fire.
Well, you said it, Kyle. Coach Will Wade for VCU wanted to get his big guy involved in the second half.
And there's a reason that Mo Alley Cox shoots such a high percentage. 2-handed slams will do that. And then the little short pull-up. JeQuan Lewis. All high percentage shots. That's why VCU is going on an 8-0 run to start the second half.
4 points, a rebound, and assist in the first under 2 minutes of this second half from Mo Alley Cox to get things started for VCU.
And again, I think that shows that VCU a little bit more experienced. And he's showing that experience the way you start a second half. First 3 or 4 minutes, you kind of want to set the tone for the rest of the game.
Klein for 4. Chandre Jones spins by Brooks and will draw the foul. Second on Doug Brooks for VCU.
And because of that VCU intensity on the defensive end is picked up, it makes every possession so tough for Richmond just to get an open look. Jones doing a good job, though, recognizing he was getting that pressure, take it to the rim, and draw that foul.
Chandre Jones, a guy that grew up in Richmond, moved with his father to Texas for high school at Bush High School in Houston, Texas. And back here to his hometown. A lot of Richmond ties by both teams in this game, obviously, and a rivalry separated by 6 miles.
Yeah, and that really just adds to the rivalry because, they knew each other since they were young. JeQuan Lewis.
Dowdy puts himself into Jones, and the rebound by Buckingham.
Buckingham only 6'4", but he does a real good job. Oh, man.
Quad Fours looking to get into the top 10 with that play. And here's JeQuan Lewis. Now that's a huge swing.
How about that speed? Lewis is flying down the floor and moves it over to the left hand.
How about if Quad Four was able to get that one to go down?
He's going to try to take that rim right off the glass.
Buckingham. Long on the three, and it's a 9-point VCU advantage. And it's a carrying violation on Lewis. Let's go back to that play.
Well, just going strong, making up his mind, but Mo Alley Cox, holding his ground there. He got a little deflection enough to make him miss that dunk, but watch his feet how high he gets up off the ground. Oh, man.
That's 6-foot Quan 4 for the Richmond Spiders. Highlight reel for sure. Already does have a big dunk here tonight. Travel on Jones. All right, so VCU really starting to pick things up with the shooting percentages here as of late. And that's not Jones-esque. With the 4 turnovers, still 16 and a half to play.
And Hamdi comes into the lineup, giving Alley Cox a little break. And I thought Hamdi did a real good job that first half. Only played about 10 minutes, but 6 points and 3 boards.
You're right. Tillman, double team comes down on him immediately, and he finds Hamdi, who is fouled. That's Quan 4, picks up his second.
Another good look from Tillman that time when he was in the low post. Interior passing, very good for both these teams.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've seen it over the years for the Richmond Spiders. I mean, that's what they do. That's Chris Mooney, his coach teams, they do that. But I'll give credit also on the other side, like you just said, to VCU and Will Wade with his group not settling for early shots of the possession, recognizing where the double team's coming down from. They did a nice job.
Well, they worked on it. I mean, one of the first things they did in shoot-around today was they put 5 players on the floor, fed the post, and then all 5 players cut to a different spot, received the ball, whether it's from a manager or a teammate, to get a shot. So they know exactly where each other is. How about, did he call bank on that shot?
Just how he drew it up. Chandre Jones, they're going to take it. They needed that. It's a 6-point game now. Starting to get in the danger zone a little bit there, Kyle. Could have went in the double figures. Hamdi. Oh, you're right. What a night he's having.
Yeah, somehow Richmond has to reestablish their interior defense because right now VCU is just attacking every time.
8 points for Hamdi. VCU 6 of 8 from the field in this second half. Klein.
Excellent left hand there. Felt the defender, just kept backing him down.
Williams, boy, back and forth here tonight. Jonathan Williams. He's got 11 points. And a foul is called. We'll step aside. 15-10 to play in this second half. VCU by 8 points. On the road, if you will. Joe Lunardi joins us when we return. Stay tuned for that. Well, let's take a look at tonight's Bracket Buzz, brought to you by Cheez-It here in the Atlantic 10. Have had 3 in the tournament every year since 2008. They had 6 3 years ago. And, of course, we got Joe Lunardi joining us here tonight, a bracketologist. Joe, you've got Dayton and VCU in the field right now. It's going to take some of the others to win the tournament, right, to get that bid for the A-10 this year. What else do you have on this conference? Your thoughts?
It's starting to look that way, guys, especially with Rhode Island's loss this week at home to Fordham. URI was still on the perimeter of at-large consideration, but scoring 43 points at home against Fordham. I think the Rams now in a spot where they probably have to get the automatic bid as well if they want to get in. So the ceiling for the Atlantic 10 at this point is looking like 3 teams for 2017.
Hey, Joe, this is Kyle. Let's talk Big Ten for a second. Michigan with the big win over Wisconsin last night. They've had some quality wins. How much of a jump did that give them?
It took them out of the danger area of having to play in Dayton for the first 4, Kyle. But, you know, the Big Ten has not had as long a set of coattails as we normally see. You know, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Indiana, Purdue, at the start of the year, all thought to be Final Four contenders. And now there's not even a Big Ten team on the top 4 lines of the bracket, at least from what the committee gave us in that sneak preview last weekend.
Joe, anything that you see, I mean, there's a lot, obviously, that's going on right now, but what are some of the things that you're kind of really keeping an eye on that could kind of alter and change things dramatically than the kind of reports we've seen from you, over the last couple of weeks?
I think it's a big 24 hours coming up with Baylor playing its rematch against Kansas on Saturday afternoon, and then, of course, our own college game day, Carolina and Virginia. I'm forecasting that if Baylor loses a second time to Kansas and North Carolina is able to beat Virginia, that for the first time in several weeks we're going to see a change in terms of the composition of the number 1 seeds, with Carolina moving up. Kind of been waiting for this. In 12 of the last 13 seasons, there's been at least one ACC team on the top line, but there hasn't been separation you see this year because it's just been so balanced and so competitive, 1 through 5 or 6. But I think that's going to change, and I think we're going to see Carolina or another ACC team on that top line come Selection Sunday.
Joe, awesome to have you join us tonight. Thanks so much. Enjoy the weekend, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
My pleasure, fellas.
And there's a look at his number 1 and number 2 seeds, according to Joe Lunardi, our bracketologist. Good to have him with us, coming to us here tonight on the broadcast. And you'll get to some of yours a little bit later on as well, too, Kyle, as Buckingham is down. So they attend to him right now as it's a 10-point VCU advantage with 14-17 to play.
Joe's amazing, the way he figures all that out, all the numbers and everything. I listen to all that and I hear it, but I'm not really sure that I grasp the full concept. I know there's so many numbers and so many factors to figure in, but he's always right about on the mark, if not just one off.
Yeah.
But now I kind of have my own theory, what I go to. It's more, instead of a numbers thing, it's more of an eye test. What I see and what I like that I see during the course of the season. So if I was in the committee, it'd be a problem because everybody'd be arguing with me.
Yes. Let's hope Buckingham's okay here. He's grabbing his left ankle there as he went down, and obviously in a ton of pain right now. This is DeMonte Buckingham. Very talented freshman for Richmond. They can't afford any more injuries. Grant Golden, their freshman big man out of Winchester, Virginia, went down 9 games in with a cardiac medical condition, and now Buckingham, the starter, the guy that's from Henrico High School right down the road in Richmond. Chris Mooney's out there. Won back-to-back state titles junior and senior year, and he's having a phenomenal season here. Let's hope. Kind of just got stuck there. Looks like that left leg.
Yeah, a little incidental contact.
Ankle.
The leg just kind of buckled a little bit.
Buckingham's a guy who's all over the court. I mean, he throws himself at everything. He's involved in so many plays, and it's so good to see him get up, but obviously not putting any pressure on that left leg, and he's going to get carried to the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, he's a high-energy player, and they talk about 50-50 balls, which they used to call loose balls, that he always gets the majority of those just because of the effort he puts forth every play.
Got some help there with Joe Kirby, his teammate, bringing him over to the sideline, and we'll get that shoe off and attend to Buckingham. So he is out, and now it's Jones with Quan 4, Julius Johnson, TJ Klein, and Nick Sherrod, the 5 in the court for the Spiders, who are now down by 10. Klein. And get the roll, rebound Lewis. Dowdy got it into Mo Alley Cox, who's held by Klein beforehand. That's going to be Klein's 3rd.
That was a good foul, though, because Mo Alley Cox was going to two-handed slam it again. So instead, they take it out on the baseline.
Williams, and now this time they'll call it on Mo Alley Cox. And a clear out.
You know, that's the one thing when you're posting up. You got to show your hands and keep your arms up. You can't drop your arms. It's almost automatic. But also, if you have a player that's guarding you, that's kind of an actor, likes to draw the attention of the officials, sometimes they see, the majority of the time, they'll see that second one. And so just, you know, you got to be smart down there in the post.
Still attending to Buckingham over on the sideline at the end of the bench, and the crowd's been kind of taken out of it a little bit here now as Lewis gets a steal. And JeQuan Lewis. That's the VCU fans, of course, making noise behind their bench as they lead it by 12. Largest margin tonight.
Yeah, and that's what they like, the pro scouts, with Lewis. I mean, a good, solid defensive player. And the speed, you see how fast he got down the floor? Moved it over to the left hand again on that drive. Second time we've seen him do that tonight.
DJ Klein, and fouled by Hamdi.
Now Lewis just anticipating the pass and jumps in that lane, gets it going the other way. And, you know, he's not afraid of the contact. He's fearless out there on the court. And Klein did want to pick up that fourth foul, so he just kind of went in front of him and let him go.
61 points of the last 2 games for JeQuan Lewis. He's got 9 tonight.
But, you know, you kind of expect that being a senior. They get it. There's a limited number of games in their college career, and they really focus in late.
4 remaining in the regular season for both teams after tonight. And again, this is for first place for VCU in the conference for the time being. They're tied with Dayton at 11-2. Richmond, let's try to stay in that upper echelon, the top 4. Top 4 teams in the A-10 get a double bye in the tournament in Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks.
Well, and also for your resume, the importance. If VCU can get a good road victory against a top 100 team, that'll be good on your resume. And for Richmond, you know, a chance to knock off a very good VCU team.
Lewis kicks it. Williams for 3, in and out. Rebound Klein.
Because really, if you look at these 2 teams' schedules, I think VCU by far has the toughest schedule of the last 4 games. They've still got to go to Dayton and to Rhode Island, 2 very tough places to play.
And they've got George Mason at home. That's not easy as well. Klein on the miss. Mo Alley Cox up to Williams. Quickly, here they come. Williams has done that a couple times tonight.
He's just kind of a bulldog, goes right at you, and if you don't stop him, he's going all the way to the basket.
And he was looking for the foul on the tail end of it, didn't get it, but does have his 13th point of the night.
See that VCU defense really extending beyond the three-point line.
Marshall Wood for 3. And I haven't seen him tonight, but he comes in, makes his presence felt there with that shot.
And the freshman Dowdy, a little slow recovering to the three-point line. What was it Will Wade said? They can't beat us with 2s. We've got to defend that three-point line.
We're going to have to try to hit a few more of those. 10-point game once again. Their 6th three-pointer of the night. VCU had it up to 13, which was their largest of this game. It's now down to 10. Williams, head of steam coming up the court. The Rams by 10 here at the home of the Spiders. But what a crazy week it was for VCU just a little while ago, and winning twice when trailing with 0.4 seconds remaining at St. Bonaventure, and a premature court storming and a one-shot technical foul. The Rams would tie the game and then win it in overtime. Unbelievable. Then they go to George Washington, and trailing, JeQuan Lewis draws the charge on the inbound. They get the 2 free throws, and VCU gets another improbable conference win. And they're 11-2 in the Atlantic 10. And you know, we talked about it earlier. 2 ones that you kind of pulled out of the hat there. If they don't, they're 9-4. They're tied with Richmond right now.
Yeah, you think maybe 1, but not 2. There's no way.
Demonte Buckingham is back on the bench, by the way, for the Richmond Spiders. We just saw him running in the hall behind the scorer's table, just trying to shake off that ankle injury, which he was carried off the court just a couple of minutes ago. See when he gets back in, if he does. Yeah,
but they took the shoe off and the sock and retaped him, and it seemed to be working. He was moving pretty well out in the hall. Hopefully he can get back in this contest.
They're going to need him. 10-point deficit. Jones And that's a foul on JeQuan Lewis. That's now 16 fouls on the Rams. So kind of like in the first half, there's Buckingham. But they were in the bonus early. Richmond was, and they're one foul away from shooting free throws the rest of this contest.
And you can see Buckingham kind of getting up off the bench, wanting to get back in the game. Because I think the longer he sits over there, the more chance that's going to really stiffen up.
Right.
VCU back to that 2-3 zone.
Still tons of time here in this one. 11 minutes to go. Hamdi knocks it out. Now, what do you have to do if you're Richmond right now to try to, you want to get this crowd back into it a little bit too? You got a double-digit deficit right now.
You just got to execute better on the offensive end, whether it's staying with your man-to-man offense, even though they're playing the zone, because the VCU has been jumping out of it, and try to get good shots every possession. Going strong rim like that is a good start, but you got to finish.
Dowdy intercepted by Klein, running the break. For quad 4, look out. Just gets landed on by Burgess. The crowd says enough of that. We've got one of our guys on the bench who got hurt. We don't need any more of that. So there's quad 4 and Burgess.
Foreman did a real good job of going off 2 feet there. He knew there was going to be contact. You go off 1, you're likely to get flipped. But by gathering yourself off 2 feet, you can absorb that contact and not get hurt. Burgess got up pretty good on that too. Yeah. He knew 4 could jump, so he tried to get an early jump on him.
And Buckingham has returned. That's crazy. Good for him, though, and for the Spiders as Sherrod takes a seat.
And that may be the boost you talked about, getting this crowd back into the game. I'm not sure it's maybe the effect of a Willis Reed in the next playoff game with the Lakers, but
well, hopefully it energizes the Spiders a little bit. It's been a 21-13 run here to start this second half for the VCU Rams after leading by 1 at the break. Williams, and here's Buckingham.
Ooh, almost open
back court, right? 4 misses the 3. Williams behind the back for Lewis. No, an offensive foul. Oh, Will Wade can't believe it on the sidelines for VCU.
And that's a set play sometimes for VCU on the break. They like to go ahead and then just drop it back to a trailing teammate. But Williams got called for the contact running over after he dropped it. Ran right into 4. 4 did a good job of drawing the attention of the officials.
They've been very consistent tonight. I mean, in terms of these calls that we've seen, I mean, for the most part, I mean, that, you know, Jamie Lucky, Raymond Steins, and Doug Sermons, our crew here in Richmond. And a tough task, too, against these 2 teams in this rivalry matchup. Offensive, they say this time. Williams took the charge, and it's Marshall Wood with his first for Richmond.
So, and Wood not known so much for his strength down the low post. He's more of an outside threat, good shooter.
Hey, you drop the shoulder, you use that left arm. And I can see what you say, though, about players, you know, with a little bit of the acting job at times, but you got to be careful on that, too, because there's also a foul now that you can be called for if you intentionally flop,
right?
You know, and do that, so you can't. But, you know, it's tough to see when you're blocked sometimes. How egregious the contact was.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not so much flopping as far as falling to the ground, but it's maybe just throwing the arms up. It draws the attention.
Crowfield has hit a couple of big threes tonight, 13 in black. Shot clock to 5. Here's Crowfield for 3 again. He's got it.
It really hurts Richmond. They've done such a good job defensively for that whole possession to give up that 3 at the buzzer.
Klein the other way, and it's a little up and under, and he'll head to the free throw line.
Lee Crowfield, like I said, the coaches have a lot of confidence in him. He's maybe one of their best shooters from outside. Just that straight line shooting form, nothing but net.
Now, he had 3 points in the last game, played 10 minutes. But when you are hot like this, and your number's called, and you're making plays. 3 big three-pointers like Profield tonight. Look at this, 60% shooting for VCU on their way if they keep it up for a season high.
And a lot of that this second half is because they really started pounding the ball down the low post. First half, they were taking some quicker shots, and the percentage wasn't near as good. But, you know, the second half, defensively, with that intensity they picked up, they really dropped the Richmond Spiders shooting percentage down. But that last break, they were down to 27% in the half.
Good job by VCU rotating the bench. 32-9 in bench points so far here tonight. Tillman working hard to post up. Williams. Tough angle. There's Tillman.
Oh, man. Tillman's long arms got that ball from the other side. I mean, he's really hard to block out because he's so long and jumps so well.
And it's a plus 20 advantage right now for points in the paint in favor of VCU.
And it was 2 at halftime. Maybe 4.
Wow.
Maybe 4.
Third on JeQuan Lewis. Yeah, Tillman, that's what he gets. You know, he hasn't had the numbers kind of a night here tonight. I mean, he's had 4 straight double-doubles in terms of points and rebounding, but that's the thing. They're still up double digits, and he hasn't really been a factor as much.
Yeah, and numbers were down even in the first time these two teams played. Sometimes the matchups are just off for you as a player. Other games you may have a good matchup and always play well against the team. But to his credit, he's continued to battle.
Kyle, you're right about points in the paint. It was a plus 4 at halftime. TJ Klein now for the Richmond Spiders as they are within 11. Klein's got 16 to lead his team tonight. Dowdy, a little over the top feed for Tillman.
He almost got that follow. I mean, the shooter knows if it's going to go in or out, not out normally. So he's got the best chance, but what an effort to go to the other side of the rim, almost tip it back in.
Klein wants to go one-on-one with Mo Alley Cox. Sherrod for 3. That's huge.
Inside-out attack by the Spiders that time. And a turnover, 4 coming back.
Big swing for Richmond. Timeout, though. VCU still at the advantage with Sherrod helping to bring them back. Coming up tomorrow on ESPN, the SEC and the ACC capping off a full day of college hoops at 6 Eastern. Kentucky tied for first in the SEC in Athens to take on Georgia, and then we'll head you to the Dean Smith Center. That's where College Game Day will be this weekend as the ACC's leading North Carolina Tar Heels at 10-3 play host to the Virginia Cavaliers. It's at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Both games on ESPN. Streaming live on the app and watchespn.com. Mike Corey alongside 3-time All-American and national champion Kyle Macy with you tonight from the Robbins Center in Richmond, Virginia. Crosstown rivalry, schools separated by 6 miles. Here's a look at this great matchup, though, for tomorrow in Virginia and UNC. How about it?
It's a huge game for Virginia. They've really struggled the last couple times out. They need to get a win, and it's going to be tough going to Chapel Hill.
Richmond trying to make the comeback here tonight. They were down by as many as 13. It's at 8. With 7.5 to go. They got a big 3 by Sherrod before the timeout. Then got a steal or a turnover. As Chandre Jones draws contact on VCU's Mo Alley Cox, his 3rd foul.
Jones does a great job of stopping and starting that kind of a hesitation move, if you will, going to the basket. Gets the defense to kind of stand up a little bit, and when they do, he explodes right by him.
Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? He's got that, what are you going to do? And then he recognizes what the defender does, and then can draw the foul.
Almost like a rocker step, the term they used to use, but this is off the dribble.
80% free throw shooter is Chandre Jones, and they need these. 7:18 to play.
You know, VCU has had some problems closing games out, or at least letting teams get an opportunity. So, a good opportunity for them here on the road with the lead. 7:15 to play in the game to really execute on the offense and pick up that defensive intensity.
And they've got this crowd back into it, the Spiders here at the Robins Center. Lewis. Oh, that's one way to bring him down a little.
Again, that senior leadership. Calmly steps out there and knocks down the three.
His second of the night.
You know, his career has been outstanding. The fact that when you look at his numbers from his freshman year, each year he's progressed, he's gotten better and better. And not just scoring, his all-around game.
Downing out there, rebound by Klein. Look at him with his head up the court, looking for the next pass. Finds Jones. Got bumped. Takes more contact, no good there. Rebound Burgess, and they're going to call the foul on Buckingham for Richmond.
Jones, I think, got caught almost trying to get too much contact there. Should have gone ahead and tried to finish, but it was another real good explosive move to the basket.
Coach Mooney for Richmond wants that foul up at the top of that key right there where he started that drive, and he didn't get it.
Well, he was the one that kind of initiated it. I think that's why the officials let it go. But when you get that close to the basket, you got to go ahead and take it all the way. You can't worry about that contact.
I feel like Richmond had a lot of momentum going there, but they're still down by 9. After that big three by Lewis. And Brooks gets run into. Buckingham again.
Klein kind of got caught that time. Allie Cox gave him a little bump. We're trying to get around him, and it knocked him right into Brooks.
I mean, you see it all the time, you know, whether it's the player reacting or the fans, and they say, like, it was a block. It was all ball. But he also got him with the body.
Yeah.
Even if it's a clean block and you crush into him, it's going to be a call, and that's a little bit of the case that last time. Now, TJ Klein has continued to do everything for this Richmond squad. He's leading the team in points, rebounding, assist again here tonight. He's got it in his hands.
Got to be a little careful there, though. It looked like he may have tried to hook with that elbow, but he did get the call, so he'll...
Well, that's what Hamdi was saying, who the foul was called on. 23 for VCU, his fourth.
As he just kind of backs him out. There you see, actually, he wasn't a hook with the elbow, it was with the hand.
Hamdi kind of had a point there.
Yeah. VCU really is trying to be physical every time Klein gets the ball in the post, really putting their chest in his back, trying to bump him off the spot.
21 points for Klein in the last game. He's got 16 here tonight. We said it before this first half, the only player in the country to be averaging over 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists per game.
Yeah, leads his team in all those departments, and like I said, he's really a true point center. I mean, you hear about point guards, but when he gets the ball out top, he does such a good job distributing, can score, can drive, can do all kind of things.
1 of 2.
Sounds a little bit familiar like the scouting report of his mother.
That's right, Nancy Lieberman.
She could do a few things too.
Yes, she could. Father Tim's in the house here tonight. Look at the alley-oop try from Williams to Mo Alley Cox. Knocked out by Burgess.
Now, on the other end, that VCU turnover, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't look great in the highlight reel, but you're up 10 with 5.5, to play. Right now, you just need to execute and get great shots. You don't need highlight reels, and that may be one of the reasons they let teams come back late in the game.
That's a good point. I'm with you on that. Well, obviously, if it goes down, you say, okay, but your point's taken there for sure. Buckingham, no, traveling violation.
But Lewis did a good job holding his hands up and not trying to bump into the offensive player. Just sometimes you got to let him go. So you just get your hands up, hold your ground with that new rule, that entitlement to the verticality.
Kyle, that's where frustration could kind of start to really settle in a little bit, almost for each team. You get late and a bunch of calls, and you're frustrated. And
Yeah, but you know, there's no 10-point shot for Richmond, so they just got to keep chipping away, offensively execute. And again, going back to that same play.
Yeah, trying again, but Tillman's able to recover it and get the basket. And Will Wade and VCU calls timeout. You can see him. He's like, we're going to do this again, and we're going to convert, and they did.
The reason they could get away with it, though, is because of the lack of only a tall player for Richmond on the floor. So with the smaller guards, you've got Tillman going up against a 6'2", 6'3" player in Johnson. So, you know, just throw it up. And the way Tillman jumps, you know he's going to be able to get that ball as long as you keep it in the court.
How about this? 5 minutes left in regulation. VCU 18-0 this season when leading. We'll see if they can extend that mark as they're up by 12 with just over 5 minutes to play.
That's a little misleading, though, because there have been games where they've had leads late.
Correct.
They've let teams come and maybe tie it, but then they are able to pull it out down the stretch. Some of that probably because of their seniors. You know, they've got quite a few seniors on this squad that have good experience, so they don't just freak out when a game gets close going late.
10 straight years to postseason for the VCU Rams. Started back in 2007. Coach Will Wade, you know, in his post-shoot-around speech to the team today for VCU said, hey, it's all about trying to get back to the 7th straight NCAA tournament. He knows about the rivalry here tonight, but they're looking for the win. A win's a win to the ultimate goal.
And you know, the other really impressive streak is the one with the 11 years in a row of 20-plus victories and 10 years in a row of 24-plus victories. That's really hard to do.
Well, Ali Cox with a foul. Free throws coming for Quan 4. I got to repeat what you just said because that is amazing. Here it is, folks. One of 2 teams in the nation, Kansas the other, to have won 24 or more games in the past 10 straight seasons. That's remarkable.
Yeah. And they'll probably do it this year. Obviously, tonight's game would be a big push for that with 4 games left and then the conference tournament. They'll have a good opportunity, but you just got to play them, like I say, the old saying, one at a time, get the victory, move to the next one. And I think that was kind of the point Will Wade was making to his team with the shoot-around. You know, it's about what we do. Let's take care of what we're supposed to do. You're playing for yourself, for your teammate, for your school. And all those other things just kind of take care of themselves.
Just 34 years old. Will Wade, one of the youngest coaches in Division I, 4th youngest. From Nashville, Tennessee. Graduated Clemson. He's an assistant on the staff. Now back as a head coach in his 2nd season here after 2 years at Chattanooga.
His mother actually from Harrodsburg, Kentucky.
Going the other way. And there's a look at what he's done over the last few years. SoCon Coach of the Year, and now just continuing what has been an amazing run by VCU that kind of got started back in the early 2000s with Jeff Capel. They really got it going, and then Anthony Grant, Shaka Smart, and now him. Quan 4 pulls up, and they're just not getting some of the rolls tonight.
Yeah, it was a good look. Good, nice pull-up move there, but and again, no offensive threat. No one went to the offensive board.
1 for the last 7 is Richmond from the field. They'll make it 2 for their last 12, excuse me. It's been rough here. Tillman again, we got a couple of those inside.
He's had kind of a frustrating night, but continues to battle. That time, good soft touch.
Jones. And he'll head to the free throw line when we come back. Back up to a 13-point advantage. Ties the largest for VCU here tonight. All right, Kyle, let's get into your weekend watch here. What do you have on the slate?
Well, I don't have any games this weekend, so you can find me in front of the TV.
There you go.
At noon on Saturday, I'll probably be watching North Carolina State game to see how that team reacts with Mark Godfrey being let go, but still coaching the rest of the season. 3-4 battle at 1 o'clock. Enough said about that one. Southern Conference, there's a good matchup. You can catch it on ESPN3 with East Tennessee State and Chattanooga, 2 really strong teams that Southern both battling, trying to move up to that first spot. South Carolina, huge game going to Vanderbilt. They just lost to Arkansas. They're trying to stay up in the top of the SEC. Wisconsin coming off that loss to Michigan. I mean, there's a lot of good basketball this weekend.
Yeah, how about Josh Passer's team there at Georgia
Yeah.
Tech, too, and against Syracuse? Can they come up with another big top win there? We'll see.
And Syracuse playing much better.
Now, Chris Mooney's group here, Richmond, they were down by 13 earlier, came back to cut it to 6, down by 11 right now. What do you see here over the last 4 minutes?
Well, for Syracuse, they've got to start getting stops. Excuse me, Syracuse. For Richmond, they've got to start getting stops. They can't trade baskets. So every possession, try to get a stop. One shot only. Can't give up any offensive boards. And then go down on the offensive end and really execute.
Yeah, you got to try to put back-to-back possessions there. But Quan Four gets called for his third.
And for VCU, now they'll want to be patient. I mean, the clock is in their favor. You don't need any real quick shots. It comes down to time and score. A lot of young players don't really understand that concept.
You see the numbers on VCU's point production, what they've done when they've scored over 70. I mean, they were excited to get another win the other night against St. Joe's, but they gave up 81 points in the process. They weren't happy about that. They scored 91, but gave up 81. They're much better in defense here tonight.
Yeah, Will Wade not happy at all after the game in the post-game press conference.
Dowdy hits a three. Shot clock was winding down. That could be a killer right there with just over 3 minutes left.
Yeah, dagger really, because Dowdy, like I said, the shot clock was down. They've done a pretty good job defensively.
Oh, they respond, the Spiders.
Yeah, good answer by Sherrod.
That's 2 big threes that he's hit where they needed it.
May need to be looking a little bit more to shoot. Be a little more aggressive on the offensive end.
Rams in no hurry, though. Here's Lewis. Feeds it Burgess. Nope, Klein. And with 2.5 to go.
But that was an okay possession if you're a VCU fan, because they did use some clock and got a 6-footer. It just didn't go down.
And Jones dribbling all the way around like Bob Cousy here.
I didn't play with him.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, I wouldn't go there.
I knew what you were thinking.
I was like, Kyle will get that one. No. More exciting hoops coming your way Sunday on ESPN. This time we're on the American Athletic Conference at 4 Eastern. UConn and Temple do battle in Philadelphia. Also live on the ESPN app, and of course watch ESPN.com. 2 minutes and 16 seconds to play here in this one. And Tillman is done with 8 points tonight after his 5th personal foul.
Yeah, just couldn't ever really get into the flow of the game, and that'll break his string of 4 double-doubles in a row. Now Richmond, if they make these free throws, you think by now they've got to start setting that press, try to come up with some steals.
And Tillman had 14 points, 13 boards in the last game, as you said. There was no player in VCU history that had 5 straight double-doubles since 93-94. But his night done a little bit early. 2:16 still to go, and Klein upset with himself here from the free throw line tonight. Yeah, that's not like him. Brooks the rebound.
Now Klein about a 70% free throw shooter. And the bad news is now you lose the points, but you can't set that full court pressure.
Yeah, and he's missed 6 of them tonight. But he's done everything. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, they require and need so much of him. I mean, he's spectacular. You know, doesn't get that much of a break either as well. Now another foul here on the Spiders.
Well, and the other point to that is not just that you have to pass and shoot and run, do those things. He's battling against Mo Alley Cox, and Cox is a 250-pound, 6'7" beast down the low post, so that's going to wear you down.
Such a versatile player, though, and Klein. Great to talk to. Caught up with him for a while tonight. So gracious with his time and, you know, what he's done over the years to get himself into this position where he's a Player of the Year candidate in the Atlantic 10, that's for sure. JeQuan Lewis pushes it up to a 12-point lead for the Rams.
So Lewis shooting a little over 81% from the line on the year, and made those big free throws in both of those improbable wins with .4 on the clock we talked about earlier. I don't know if he'll get drafted in the first 2 rounds, but I think he's going to definitely get some invites to go to some camps and get an opportunity to play. For pay, I guess is what you call it.
I agree with you. Foul on Richmond here, and now it's starting to get away from him a little bit. 1:40 left, 13-point lead, and a chance for VCU to tack on some more.
And we are at the Richmond Arena. I mean, not the Richmond Arena, but the home court of Richmond, even though you hear the crowd saying, "Let's go VCU." So you can tell a lot of the Ram fans bought tickets, snuck their way in.
Yes, they did. They get this one on the schedule early. How about their resume for VCU right now? Going to go to more than likely if they can hang on here, 22-5, 12-2. Sole possession of first for the time being in the A-10. You see some of the good wins and losses.
Yeah, and even receiving 14 votes in the poll this week. So, I mean, people are starting to notice them more and more.
Good 3 here by Quan 4. And that's a timeout now taken by Richmond with 1:31 to go.
The thing I like about VCU, though, again, is their experience factor. The number of seniors they have, they've been through the battles. They know exactly what they're trying to do. They don't deviate from that. They're very solid offensively, and defensively is where they really take their pride, kind of set the tone. And JeQuan Lewis, the senior, providing the leadership, whether it's coming off of the defensive play in transition. He's showing versatility right-hand or left-hand. He's also an outstanding three-point shooter.
And he leads his team in so many categories. I mean, not just that, it's his free throw shooting, his assists. He's averaging almost 5 assists a ball game, plays the most minutes, leading scorer, 1,000-point scorer now, the 36th in VCU history. He's done so much over his career.
And such a leader. I mean, what you saw this morning in the shoot-around, when he came out, all of a sudden the attention level of the entire practice, it got a lot more vocal because he was one that was talking a lot and getting everybody pumped up, and they all just kind of fall in line behind his leadership.
Will Wade said when he's smiling and he's happy and he's got his happy pills going on, I'm happy. Things are well. It's much easier to coach.
William is making the mistake there, trying to split the defense. Got to put the ball down. You got to dribble.
Jones for 3. Yes. And Chandre Jones cuts it to 9. Minute 15 to play, and they're going to foul Brooks. 70% free throw shooter will step to the line here.
And for VCU, that at times, I mean, JeQuan Lewis is a pretty good free throw shooter, over 80%, but there are some players out on the floor that are shooting in the 60s, so you got to try to hope they get the ball and then foul them. In particular, Hamdi, although he's not out there, and Jonathan Williams is 68%.
4 of the Richmond starters have played over 31 minutes here tonight. One of the VCU starters has played over 30 minutes, and that's Lewis. And, I know it, that's just it for Richmond. They've got a short bench, but maybe it doesn't affect them per se in the individual game, but it could be tough come tournament time, A-10 tournament.
They do have some good help on the way, though.
And the versatility and the way that it's been spread out tonight for VCU. 8 different players with 7 or more points.
They've got a kid sitting over there that's redshirting this year, Solly Stansbury. Yeah. And actually played over in France. And he can practice with them, and he looked really impressive today in practice. So when they get him eligible next year, he's going to be a big plus.
And Quan 4 is fouled out here tonight. He's going to be one for the future for them as well. Just a sophomore. Yeah, he's been really a part of this team that's made them go this year. We talked so much about TJ Klein and Chandre Jones, but Quan 4 he was explosive tonight early, 9 points. Fastest guy on the court. And just a tough one tonight for the Spiders.
Well, the problem for Richmond sometimes, especially against a team like VCU that really likes to pound it inside, is their lack of size other than the center position. And that's one thing Stansbury will bring. He's 6'7". And so now all of a sudden you got a couple guys in the front line. But right now you're playing 4 guards that are 6'2" or 3", maybe 6'1" or less, a few of them, and 1 big man. So it's a tough matchup defensively.
Jones for 2, and then in front of us here, Joe Kirby. trying to get the steal, gets called for his first personal, and more free throws for VCU. And it might not be like it's been in some of their close ones this season where they've had to kind of sweat it out late. But here's what they've got coming up. 4 games remaining in this regular season before the Atlantic 10 tournament in Pittsburgh. And you said it, you know, St. Louis, obviously they should get by that one Wednesday night at home.
Right.
But then at Rhode Island, which is an interesting team this year to say the least. At Dayton, boy, that's going to be an awesome matchup and the rematch there. And then home versus Mason.
That at Dayton game, you talk about a fun arena, a great atmosphere. Their fans come out in droves there. But yeah, that's a tough lineup, those last 4.
Not there for Jones. A real valiant effort for the Spiders tonight, but it's Will Wade on the sidelines firing up.
Turned into a cheerleader.
Yeah, the VCU faithful. And have to travel far, 6 miles away from their campus in this rivalry matchup. And VCU's going to sweep the season series.
But, you know, you got Duke, North Carolina, not too far away. You've got Xavier in Cincinnati, not too far away. But this is a real good rivalry here, right in Richmond.
It was a fun one here tonight, but in the end, it's VCU with their 5th straight over the Richmond Spiders with an 84-73 win here tonight on the home of Richmond.
Hard-fought game for both teams, but VCU just a little bit too much for the Richmond Spiders.
Sole possession of first place for the time being for VCU. Coming up next, it's Outside the Lines, football forever. For Kyle Macy, Mike Corey, so long from Richmond. Have a great weekend, everyone.